dad thought it was real. Like WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 2 time frame, he was like, "This is real." He thought it was like boxing, and then he found out it was scripted. He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that was one of the first things my dad told me when I got into wrestling as a kid. He's like, "That's not real," and like he told me he ruined it for me pretty early, man. And in the Attitude Era is when he started watching again when the Attitude Era happened.
Yeah.
But then he was constantly he's like watch this documentary they got on this channel about how fake wrestling is. I'm like, why?
Why is it like? Why are you working so hard to like take this from me? Like,
Discredit
I get
it.
it. I know.
It was both. He was into it and he talked to me about it, and then at the same time he wanted to know the magician's tricks, and now he just sits there and complains about it, but he doesn't want to miss SmackDown.
You go, why they stomp their feet like that? My thing was I knew it was scripted like I wasn't still like 12, 13. I knew it was scripted, but I started watching like I was more of a before like Monday Night Raw got really hot. I mean, I watched both of them, but I was more of a WCW guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching like the cruiserweights and Benoit Malenko and all the like the technical stuff, and I was just watching because you could watch them and like forget that it was scripted when you saw those dudes. So obviously there was some like Rey Mysterio's in the ring with Eddie Guerrero, and they're doing this crazy stuff, and you're like on the tip of your seat. But at the end of the day, oh yeah, that was a good match. But I don't know. I still tell people that what killed wrestling, because that was when I got into wrestling, the initial goal of a match was to make people think it was real. That was always your intention. So that's where kayfabe came from. It's like, but now I think when WWE did Tough Enough and they kind of like pull back the curtain, nowadays I don't know if it's better or worse, but like the younger wrestlers that I meet, or the younger wrestlers, they start training and they like look at it as like, oh, it's performance art. It's like a play. It's performance art. So I can do whatever I want to do. And it's like, I don't know if that's the way we want to go with it, but okay, that's fine. So I think it was better when they still had that illusion that even though you knew it was scripted, they were still trying to make it look like they were still trying to like pass it off as real. I think that was like a special time.
Yeah, that was the moments for they told us Santa Claus wasn't real, man. So
yeah,
yeah. And I still have no trouble. Like sometimes it's like I obviously know it's scripted and behind the scenes everything like that, but I still once that show starts, especially pay-per-views, it's harder when you got your segments and stuff on like Raw and SmackDown and Collision and Dynamite and stuff, but once you get to the pay-per-view and it's nothing but straight matches and you really kind of get that big fight feel to it, like I am locked in from that opening bell all the way to the pay-per-view goes off, man. And there is no separation. It's like what happens in that ring matters. So like I talked about this a few episodes ago when Bianca sold that knee injury at SummerSlam. And
she did great.
Right, and like I was thoroughly concerned because she's over there wailing in the corner about that leg, and I'm like, oh my god, she just blew out her knee on this huge pay-per-view. Like, what's this going to do to her career? Blah blah blah. And then when she came back in and hit that press, I was like, son of a bitch, got me again.
Yeah, but that's the new kayfabe now. Is like when you can trick people because people are like watching, knowing what it is, and then when you can trick people into thinking like, oh, did something actually happen? That's the new kayfabe. That's like what people try to accomplish. If you can get, that's like when you had a good matches when you get people. Did something really happen there?
Right.
And I think that's why when they experimented that a little. I think if you go back to that Charlotte Nia fiasco when it like people couldn't tell they were like shooting on each other, I think they did that on purpose.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that
to experiment with that. I don't but I don't know. It's always weird.
Well, I mean that, and they've only made 4,000 TikTok videos together since. So
right.
Oh yeah, but back then you didn't know because everybody's whole thing is Nia Jax is dangerous. Yeah, Nia is dangerous. So. I don't know. That's like the new, and it's hard. Like as a wrestler, it's hard to watch because it's not hard to watch, but I view it from a different lens because, like, I know, I know how they do. I know how they make the donuts. So it's all like I'm just kind of like admiring. Oh, how they pull that off. Other than someone who's just watching it as it's intended to be watched.
You're studying is what you're doing when you watch it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird once you're in it, but I still find ways to get into it sometimes. Like the whole Roman Reigns thing has been, that's like a once in a generation type of storyline. So watching that's been like that's like the one thing that I've been like really invested in over the last couple of years.
That's been
what are they gonna do with Roman Reigns? Yeah, what are they gonna do with Roman Reigns? What are they gonna do with Roman Reigns? So they know how to do it sometimes.
Yeah, people were so mad about Cody not winning this year, and I was on Twitter, and people was like, "It should have been Cody. It should have been Cody." I was just laughing at him. I was like, "That's what y'all get. Tribal Chief wins again, bitch."
But that's the hard part. When people don't understand, it's like because the fans are in on it now too, or people are like fantasy booking or like this should happen. What you don't know is you affect them when you do that. If people are on Twitter like, oh, Cody's gonna win, and I'm the booker, well, I want people to be surprised. So Cody's not winning tonight. Then like that stuff changes from minute to minute because of that. People don't get that. Like,
damn.
Sanjay worked for he was a producer on Raw for a little bit before he went to AEW. And I remember one time he told me, dude, it's crazy how things change so fast. Like you could have this whole thing and then like hour before the show goes live, everything changes. And it's just like one of these things where it's like because they're reacting to social media, they're reacting to what the people are doing because they still want to provide that shock value. And now they got the whole betting thing. So
which is a whole different story, man.
People don't understand that they affect these storylines. People don't understand that. Like, look at LA Knight. LA Knight wasn't about to get over, so the people got him over.
Yeah.
I was so worried they were going to give him like a Ted Lasso gimmick. It was just because he had I feel like he had like he was growing the beard or whatever. Yeah. Because they had him doing the
maximum models. Yeah. You know what's funny? People get released and they start telling the stories, and the male models are just like, he hated us. Like LA and I didn't like us at all. Like, oh, that's awkward.
pulling that curtain all the way back, man. That's what it is.
Yeah.
What was he? Eli Drake.
Yep, Eli Drake. Yeah.
Eli Drake. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's another gimmick that's missed me. The
LA Knight thing?
Yeah.
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 Well, there's two camps.
That's how I feel about it. It's like there's people like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah.
Man, there's two camps to it, right? I think the people that are really behind it are people that didn't see him anywhere else because it's literally the same gimmick that he did in Impact.
Eli Drake,
yeah, that he did in NWA, and I think it's always been a throwback. Like people are all like, "Oh, he's just a Rock Stone Cold wannabe." It's all the gimmick's always been that, but I think people that haven't seen him are like reminded of like because maybe they weren't there for the rise of Stone Cold or the Rock, so they're kind of just like sitting. It's like reincarnation kind of thing, I guess. I don't know. So that's why people that have seen that, like you and me, are like, we know what that is, Yeah. But good for him.
And I don't know. I don't know if I think that also would help if they didn't fucking dangle the Attitude Era in front of us every time they could. You know what I mean? Like
every single
it's like guys aren't allowed to be stars, and I think it's been like this for a long time in the E. Like I remember being a kid watching Saturday Morning, and they'd be like, "All right, we're gonna talk about Classy Freddie Blassie," and I'm like, "Bro, where Max Moon at?" You know what I mean? Like I was, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, "Bro, I don't care about this dude calling people pencil neck geeks." Like, Ivan Putski, the Polish Hammer, and I'm like, that sounds kind of racist, but all right, man. Like I'm just trying to get to the stars of today. I'm 14. I want to see Brett get these fogies off the screen, and I think they're starting to be kids who, I don't know. I think like the Attitude Era was just so goddamn colorful, and it also didn't help that like a lot of that stuff was in black and white. But it's like Vince he's a mark for the past, and like he's always like putting up like all the oldest stuff, and it's like okay, you're probably it's probably like reminiscing about profitability, but like. We're talking about, you're still supposed to be making stars for today, make stars for today, and stop like throwing the old stuff in our face as much as you possibly can. We'll get.
But see, that's the problem though, right, with wrestling, because wrestling has always been it's a cyclical sport, right? So even the guys back then we were watching, they took their gimmicks from somebody before them. like whatever. Like I train. I'm friends with Jay Lethal. I go to the school down here once in a while to brush up, and me and him were talking about it, and you were like, "There's not a like back then. Like even when me and you were like talking about Bret Hart, Briz Bulldog. If you know, there are different things where people like protecting each other's moves, right? Like this guy only did this move, this guy only did that move, and this guy did this gimmick, this guy did that gimmick, and now it's like if you go today, if you watch AEW show, you'll see like the same move. Like 10 times in the same night, right? And it's like that's okay now because there's nothing in wrestling that hasn't been done. So it's like 10 people are going to have the same move. It's how they interpret it or get it over on their end. I think that goes back to gimmicks. It's like people would be smart if they went back to why isn't someone doing a Bret Hart gimmick? Why isn't someone doing something that was successful? Because it's been so long to where people aren't. This generation isn't going to remember that. Some of those gimmicks from back in the day, just like when we were watching, you're not gonna remember that Ric Flair is really just the play off Buddy Landell from the '60s or something like that. Like yeah. And that's why it's always like that because it's cyclical. The problem with WWE is they're like you said they're putting it in your face. But they only put it in your face like with LA Knight. They weren't putting that attitude stuff in your face until he started getting over. And they're like, well, how do we tell this story? Oh, well, we can play off the fact that he is a Stone Cold Rock wannabe and kind of like. He's a throwback to the Attitude Era, and like I don't know, so that's why they run with that.
All right,
that makes a lot of sense though, for real.
Yeah.
All right,
why isn't there another Bret Hart? Someone should have been doing that already.
It's I don't know, because it's not a lot of stress being put on accuracy, like. And not to sound like an old nigga talking about like, bounce passes and
back in my day.
But it's just like to have those things down to when you can make basic moves look sweet. Like you can only go up from there. And so it's a lot of people that's trying to do like Canadian destroyers and stuff. And it's like, they end up botching stuff because they don't even have like the basic, like whatever down.
And Brad had his 5 spots like, of death.
Yeah, so like it's a lot of people want spots, people want they want YouTube clips and that sort of thing, and of course you do. But I don't know. You would think that there is somebody that's just like trying to fill the lane of just being mad efficient, but it's like, I guess I don't know. I think like that probably kind of translates to like Bryan Danielson nowadays, to where it's like. Somebody that's like all about execution. And like where your gimmick is like, I am a wrestler,
Yeah, but I think all those guys, because like if you look back at Bryan Danielson, like you go back to like when he first started like Ring of Honor and stuff like that, all those dudes, they're like 20 dudes that wanted to be the next Benoit. And I think he was in that kind of like, I think he's kind of in that thing where he's more
which is crazy
than his Bret Hart.
Right.
So.
But that's the other thing is like, Bret influenced Chris Benoit in that way to where it was like, I want to make this snap suplex. I've done this snap suplex 10,000 times so that when I do it, it looks the same every time, that the other person takes it the same way every time. If you get injured, it's your fault on that one because I'm doing this move over and over and over again to the point where it's like, it's going to look the same.
Yep. It's
It's
impossible for this to be my fault.
Didn't tuck your chin, brother.
I wonder that's what Goldberg said to Brett after he ended his career.
Fuck Bill.
I saw some story the other day. I don't know if it was legit. I was just going through the news, and they're like, Bill Goldberg says he meant to hit Brett that hard. And I was like, he didn't say that.
Yes,
I hope he didn't say that.
I bet you he did. I believe it.
They were messing me in the back. I meant to hit him that hard.
He just be saying stuff to say stuff. He's not. That's his whole character. He just be doing stuff to do stuff. Nothing.
If he's saying that, then he doesn't intend to come. He doesn't intend to get to wrestle again. If he's saying that, so.
I think he's gonna pop up AEW next, man. I think he finally WWE finally done messing with him, but I could totally see.
It's possible. I mean, the problem with him is even with Tony Khan money, I think he would price himself out. So we'll see.
That's why we just get Ryback in there, brother, and then
Oh, Ryback done lost his damn mind. Like, have you seen a Ryback clip lately?
Yeah,
that boy is unhinged.
him and the Funkasaurus, man.
Like, it's like, and then it's like it's bad because people have nothing but bad. Like Ryback is such a sad story because they were pushing him I mean, he was like the next Warrior. They were pushing that dude.
They were.
And then for him to mess it up.
Yeah.
And then everybody's coming out like, oh, he was stiff. He hurt me. He's in, whatever.
Not everybody. That was all Phil. That was all Punk. Phil,
yeah.
Punk was the one the most. He's like, Ryback was one of the worst people I worked with. He hurt my knee, and he knew my knee was bad. And that was like the original podcast interview he did with Colt, man. He was complaining about Ryback. And Ryback, when he was wrestling Punk, I didn't want him to beat Punk, but that was when he got over for me. And I actually liked Ryback for a while until like they switched his gimmick up, and I was kind of
he went from hot to like mid Carter real quick.
Yeah,
he must piss somebody off in the back.
I'm sure he did. Because as you can tell, he doesn't think the shit stinks. So
no, yeah.
But I did for some reason, man. I was like, I don't know why I shouldn't like this guy, but I kind of like him.
When the machine does it right, they do it right.
Yeah.
So,
but the machine can turn on you real quick, as he found out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think whatever your gesture is, I think like whatever your taunt. I don't know. I wasn't feeling this.
Feed me more.
Like, feed me more. I was like, no, like you ain't got like you ain't gotta like pull out like a pantomime a plate and the spoon or.
He did that too. I think he did that too. He did have a whole bunch of stuff.
I'm gonna bite a guy. I don't know, man, but I don't know.
Twisting the spaghetti on his fork.
One of my friends was enhancement talent for him. He said he lost consciousness off that clothesline.
I ain't saying he was perfect.
No one treats enhancement talent right, so it's whatever.
That's for sure.